Hey, what's up there, roulette players? Welcome back to Casino Wars, where every day we break down real roulette strategies that you can test, track, and tweak for smarter play at the roulette tables. I'm your host, Lenny, and if you love seeing new ways to take on the roulette wheel, you're in the right place. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a roulette spin. Now, if you got a roulette strategy or a betting idea that you would like me to try out right here on my channel, please shoot me an email at LVcasino.wars@gmail.com. All right, and I look forward to using your systems. And let's get right into today's system, and I'll tell you what it's all about. All right, the new one for today is an awesome system. I tried it. I just got this one in my head, and I decided to go with it. And I'm going to call this one Moving Arrows. Moving Arrows. And you'll see why in the video, why I call it Moving Arrows. Now, it's a great strategy, and it's a low system, low denomination, so it starts off with $6, and then it just grows $6 at a time. So it doesn't go that high until it reaches a certain point, then you start doubling. But it's a long ways before you start doubling, and when you hit pretty big. So let me show you this because I'm really excited about it, and I am definitely taking this one to the casino over the weekend or something. And hopefully I can get some live shot and live play out of it, and I'll videotape it, and I'll show you it in action, and I'll put my money where my mouth is. All right, well, let's get into it. And before I do, hit that like button for me, please. And let's get subscribed and hit that notification bell so you don't miss another roulette strategy. All right, guys, I call this one Moving Arrows. All right, and we're going to do $1 units. And we're going to put, that's the target, 1720. That's our target. And this is where we're going to place the bets on the 0, 00. We're going to the 3, 2, 00, the 20, and then the 0. That's our first arrow. And when we play this, we hope to get a 0 or a 2, a 0 or a 2. 3, 1 would be fine also. So let's spin. All right, that's a 36. That's definitely a loss. It's way away from where we are. You could start on the other end too if you want, but this is the recommended end because you got the zeros covered. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to rebet. Now we got to create another arrow to make it move. So we do the 3, the corner bet, and then the corner bet here, and then the 1. And then now we got to add in another arrow, and we're going to spin. That's a 4. That's a win, I believe. It's a $2 loss. So it's a partial loss. With partial losses, we don't do anything. We just rebet and spin. We'll make them back because we'll make good money. All right, that's a 30. That's a total loss. So we got to move that arrow again. So we're going to rebet, and we're going to add the third arrow. All right, and spin. All right, that's a 3. That's a win. All right, that's a $41 win. So with a $41 win, we could go back to start and start over and spin. We're 22 units up now. All right, that's a 21 red. That's a loss. So with that, we're going to rebet, and we're going to add this next arrow, the second arrow, and spin. And that's a 21. That's a loss again. Same number. So we're going to reset. And we're going to build another arrow. And spin. So we're adding 5 units every time we lose. And that's a 22. That's another loss. So we're going to rebet. And we're going to add another arrow and spin. Now we're down 11 units. That's a 33. That's another loss. So we're going to rebet. And we're going to add on another arrow. And spin. That's a 25 red. That's another loss. Wow. I was doing so good with this when I was practicing. Okay. Now this is going to be, this is our final. Now we hit our target. This is the final spin. Not our final spin, but you'll see. Okay, now that's 23 red. That's another loss. So what we need to do here is we can't add any more. So what we're going to do is we're going to double from here. All right, and spin. All right, that's a 32. That's another loss. Wow. So now we're going to rebet. And we're going to double. Again, we got a lot of coverage, so we should be okay. If we hit, we should go over. Just need a low number. That's a 17. I believe that's a win. That's a $164 win. So now we could rebet, and we could go back to the original bet. Yeah, let's just do it over. Make it easier. 1, 1. Right there, and right there. Okay, and then the one on the 17 and 20, and spin. Now we're 13 units up. That's a 17. That's a win right off the bat. That's a $12 win. All right, rebet and spin. You want to hit a 0 here. 11. All right, that's a loss. So we're going to rebet. You want to hit the zeros early in the game. Grow it, and it'll still come. That's a 0. That's what we want. Yes. And that's a 37 win. So now we could rebet, and we could go back to the original and spin. Now I'd like to get a 0. Let's get a double 0. Let's get another 0. Nope. Can't be that lucky. But we did get the $12. We got the 12 units because we got the target. All right. So now we're going to rebet. And we're going to. And moving the next level. 68 units. That's a 27. I wish it would have hit that 0. That's a 27 loss. Okay. So we're going to rebet. And we're going to add the next arrow. And spin. I'm just wondering if we should increase the target, like 1 unit every time. So we got, what did we get? 26. That was another loss. So we got to go another unit. Wondering if we should increase the target by 1. I think we should. That's what I mean by tweaking. You could always tweak. There you go. There's a 9. That's a win. That's a 33 unit win. We're going to do that with this going forward. So what we do is we're going to put these on. We're going to put the first arrow on. And we're going to put the target. Now hopefully we'll get a 0. I would love to get a 0 here. 0 or a double 0 or even a 2. But we didn't. I think we came close, but no good. Okay, so now we're going to tweak it. That's why I say we could tweak things. Okay, so we're going to add the arrow. And upon adding the arrow, we're also going to add 1 unit to the target. All right, so we're going to rebet and spin. That's a 1. That's a win. All right, that's a $45 win. So we're going to rebet, and we're going to take away all those extra units and start off over again and spin. We're already up 113 units. That's a 28 black. That's no good. Rebet. And we're going to add another. And we're going to add 1 unit to the target and spin. That's a 3 red. All right, that's a win. That's a $45 win. Look at that. All right, so now we can go back to the original and spin. We're up 152 units now. That's a 0. That's exactly what I wanted to happen. That's a $42 win, 42 unit win. All right, that's exactly what we want. All right, so we could really, wow, we can celebrate when we hit a 0 here on this game. All right, so now we're just going to rebet and spin. Whoops. We're just going to rebet and spin. We won, and we were at base level. All right, and that's a 23 red. That's a loss. So we're going to rebet. We're going to grow the, we're going to move the, all right, and then we're going to increase the middle by 1. 1 more unit and spin. We're at 188 units so far, 22. That's a loss. So we're going to rebet, and we're going to add 1. And then we're going to increase that by 1 and spin. That's a 28 black. That's a loss. So we're going to rebet. And we're going to add another. And spin. Oh, I forgot to add the 1 unit. Dang it. Man, at least it did come in. 19. Okay, that's a loss. So we're going to rebet. And now we got to add 2 units here because I forgot the other one. And then we're going to add another arrow and spin. That's a 0. We need that. That's what we want. All right. And that's an 18 unit win. Not as big as when we first hit it because there's a lot more on the table. But now we can go back to the original. All right, and spin. 6 units on the table. That's a 30 red. All right, that's a loss, so we're going to rebet. And we're going to put another arrow. And we're going to add a unit to the target and spin. That's a 7. That's a win, I believe. Nope. We weren't that far out yet. All right, so we're going to rebet. We would have had a win if it was here. We would have had a partial win. We probably would have had a partial loss. But we're going to do that. Oh, and don't forget to add the 1 to the target. All right, that's a 25 red. That's a loss. Rebet. We really just need to stay away from that. We need to stay away from that 3rd dozen. The 3rd dozen and also the 2nd dozen. It's not too hot, but it's okay if we get a 17 or 20. All right, so we're up 117. So we got a 5. That's a win. All right, that's a $48 win. We'll take it. So now we'll go back to base. Back to base level and spin. We're at 165 now. That's a 14. That's a loss. we're going to rebet. And we're going to add another arrow. And one more to the target. And actually, we could tweak this a little more. After this round, I'm going to tweak it a little more. You'll see what I'm going to do next. I'm going to tweak it more. 34, that's a loss. So we're going to rebet. And we're going to make another arrow. And we're going to add one and spin. All right, that's a 0. That's a winner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. That's a $30 win. All right, so now we're going to tweak this again. I'm going to show you another tweak. So this is what I'm talking about. You tweak as you go. You know, you think of things. I'm thinking like, why not add more numbers, make the target bigger? It might be a partial loss, but at least it ain't a full loss. Watch. So we're going to rebet and spin. Hopefully we get a 0 and I won't have to show you this right away. All right, but that's a 7. That's a loss. Okay, so that's good. So now rebet. And what we're going to do is we're going to add another arrow. But what we're going to do is we're going to increase there. So now we got 18 and 21 covered as well. It won't be, those will probably be partial losses, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to see if 18 or 21 come out. That'll be good if 18 or 21 come out. It'll show us, so see what we do. That's a 31. That's definitely a loss. So now what we're going to do is we're going to rebet. We're going to add another arrow. And we're going to expand this out to another 2 numbers. All right. And then we're going to spin. That's a 3 red. All right. We got a 39 unit win. So now we can rebet and we can go back to base and spin. So 198. That's a 5. I think that's a win already, right? Oh, just missed it. Okay. Rebet and add another arrow, and then we're going to extend this out a little bit and spin. Make the target bigger. That's a 0. That's what we want. We want zeros in this game. All right, that's a 36 unit win. So we're going to take this and we're going to... All right, put our target there. 228. We are up 228. That's a good system. 27, and it's low. It's a low ball. You're not gambling much. All right, so now we're gonna rebet. We got a loss, so we're gonna make this we're gonna make the arrow grow, and we're going to make the target grow and spin. All right, that's a 22 black. That's a loss. So we're going to rebet. And we're going to make another arrow. And we're going to make our bet grow. Our target grow. And spin. All right, that's an 8 black. That's a win. That's a 36 unit win. So we're going to rebet. We're going to take it back to base. And spin. Up 246. That's a 9 red. That's a miss. So we're going to rebet. And we're going to grow our target. And we're going to go 3, 5, 1, and 1 covered, and spin. That's a 36 red. That's a loss. Rebet. We're going to go grow our target and grow our target and spin. That's a 26 black. That's a loss. All right, so we're going to rebet. And we're going to go another arrow. And we're going to grow this for the first time. We're going to grow our target. And we're going to grow it. Where are we going to grow it, though? Should we go on the 20 or the 17? Or... oh, man. All right, we can grow it this way. All right, so now we have the 18, a double on the 18. So let's go ahead and spin. You could grow that any way you want. 22 black. All right, that's a loss. So we're going to rebet. And we're going to put in another arrow. It's going to be our final arrow. Nope, not our final arrow. We got another arrow to go. So, all right. So, we got to add one of these. All right. So, we'll cover the 19. We're making our target bigger. And spin. All right. That's a 17 black. All right. That's a $24 win. All right. So, let's... now we're down a little bit, but still, we're still growing. So we're going to rebet, and we're going to bring it back to base. All right, and spin. And that's a 13. That's a loss. So we're going to rebet. And we're going to add another arrow. And you could grow the middle any way you want. You can add 20 if you want, and then you'll have the 20 covered for a 36 unit bet, or you can add 2 more to the thing, whatever you want to do. All right, so let's go ahead and spin. You can grow that any way you want, whatever you feel like you'd rather do. 10. All right, so that's a miss. So we're going to rebet. And we're going to go 6, 8, 4. And then we're going to play the 17 if you want this time. And spin. Now if the 17 or 20 come in, they're going to be jackpot numbers. All right, that's an 18 though. That's a miss. See, if we would have covered that 18, we would have got the partial. All right, but we didn't. So that's okay. We're going to go to the 9 and add another. And we are going to go over here now. All right, and spin. Wish we would have covered that 18 the first time. All right, that's a 32 red. That's a loss. So we're going to rebet, and we're going to add another arrow. Add another arrow. We need to add the target, make the target bigger, and spin. That's a 26 black. That's a miss. All right, so now we're going to rebet. And I think this is our final one. So we already have the one on the 17, so you don't have to add that again. So that saved us some money. And now what we could do is expand the target this way. You can go either way. You just gotta fill those other 3 spots up. All right, so we're gonna spin. We need a win. We're still up 120 units though, so we're okay. That's a 7. That's definitely a win. All right, that's a $19 win. Okay, so being that we're not back at base level, we can, back at profit, session profit, we can go ahead and just rebet and spin, but I want to make my target bigger. Yeah, let's make the target bigger. We make target bigger, but we don't have to. We're not going to increase anything else. We're just going to make the target one more on the target and spin. Hopefully we get a 17 or a 22. They'll be jackpot numbers. That's 26. That's a miss. So that's a total loss. So what we're going to do is we're going to rebet. And we're going to double everything. And then we're going to put 2 on here. All right. And then spin. And that's an 18. All right, that's a partial loss. The 38 unit loss, so we're going to rebet. We do nothing with those, but we are going to increase this. 1, 2. And all right, and spin. $15 black. All right, that's a 32 unit win. So let's see where we're at. We're at 97 units. So let's just rebet. And I'm just going to add 2 more to this. And that's it. We're done. Now we just double if we lose. Hopefully we get a 17. There we go. Let's see what the 17 pays. That's a $210. Wow. All right. That should bring us back. We could definitely go back to base. All right. Now we're back to base and spin. Now we're up 307 units. That is sweet. I like this system. I'm going to take this one to the casino. There's a one right off the bat. That one was right off the bat. What about that? So we're just going to rebet and spin. Would have been better if it was a 0, but that's okay. We'll take a $12 right off the hit. All right, that's a 25 red. So we're going to rebet and spin. Oops, that was a full loss, wasn't it? Yes, it was. I was supposed to double that. Sorry about that. All right, so that's 15. We weren't supposed to double, but we were supposed to make another arrow. And we were supposed to increase this, make this bigger. So we're going to do it twice. And we're going to create another arrow because that's where we're supposed to. All right, and spin. All right, we're still up 307 units. That's a 19 red. That's a loss. Oh, actually, it's a partial. Oh, because I expanded. It's a partial. That's good. All right, so that's what a partial will do for us. So with a partial, we're not going to do anything. We're just gonna make the target bigger. That's all. Let's just make the target bigger. All right, and spin. So on partial losses, you just increase the target. 17. That's a wonderful win. Unfortunately, I didn't pick the other side, but that's okay. That's a 17 unit win. We can go back to base with that. We can go back to base. We will. That's a 315. That's close enough to where we were. All right, that's a 9. I wish I hit the 0. Rebet. And we're going to increase. And we're going to add 1 there. And spin. All right, that's a 22 black. That's a loss, I believe. It is. So we're going to rebet. And we're going to add 1 there. And we're going to add an arrow. And spin. That's a 14 red. All right, that's another loss. So that's okay. We're going to rebet. And we're going to increase this. And we're going to make another arrow. And spin. That's a 28 black. All right, so we're going to rebet. And we're going to add another arrow. And we're going to add that. And all right, right, and spin. We're up 255 still. That's a 31 black. That's a loss. So we're going to rebet. And we're going to add the last arrow. Okay, that's the last arrow. And we already added that. So we're going to rebet and spin. That's an 11. That's a win. That is a $37 win. So we're going to rebet. Let's bring it back to base. No reason to take extra chances on this high amount. All right, let's spin. We're at 262. I know we're not back at session. I mean, we were over 300, but that's okay. We don't want to risk losing our bankroll because of something stupid. All right, so we're going to rebet, and we're going to add another arrow, and we're going to increase the target. Spin. And that's a 17. That's a win. All right, that's a 15-unit win. So we're going to rebet, and we're going to take it back to base and spin. We're up 271 now. That's a 29 black. That's a loss. So let's rebet. And I know I'm supposed to be reevaluating everyone, but we're doing so good that I just don't want to. All right, so we're going to go there and spin. But I do have to start evaluating. I'm going to try to take this up to 500. All right, that's a win. That's a good 45 units. All right, so we're going to rebet. And we're going to go back to base and spin. We're going to take this to 500. But we're not going to, now at this point, I'm not going to let myself lose more than 200. So if we get close to 200, we're going to call it quits. Okay. All right, we're going to add another one, and we're going to make the target bigger and spin. That's a 304. We're up 304 still. That's a 12. All right, that's a loss. So we're going to rebet, and we're going to make the arrow. We're going to move the arrow. And we're going to make the target bigger and spin. That's a 7, red. All right, that's a $9. So that we don't, the only thing we do with that is we just increase the target. That's all we do. And, all right, and spin. All right, that's a 26 black. That's a loss. So we're going to rebet. And we're going to add an arrow. And we're going to increase the size of the target and spin. That's an 11 black. That's a win. All right, that's a $29, 29 unit win. So we're at 293. I think it's safe to go back. No need to risk. Even though I'm really not worried about this system, it's good. But we're going to go back. So we are at 293. Oh, I wanted to see it hit that 0. All right, well, we got the 9, but that's no good. All right, so we're going to add another arrow. And we're going to increase the size of the target and spin. And that's a 34 red. That's a miss. So we're going to rebet. And we're going to make this bit bigger. And then we're going to increase the target size and spin. That's a 3 red. That's a win. All right, and that's a 39 unit win. So let's rebet and let's go back to home. All right, and spin. And that's a 20 black. That's a jackpot. That's a 12 unit win right off the bat. All right, so we're going to spin. And that's a 12. That's a loss. So we're going to rebet. We're going to add another arrow. And we're going to increase the size of the target and spin. That's a 21 red. That's a partial loss. So that's okay. With that, we know we just increase the target and that's it, and spin. That's a 17. That's a jackpot number. All right, that's a 23 unit win. So we're going to rebet and we're going to go back to the original and spin. We're at 340. See if I could grind this up to 500. That'd be nice. 1. All right, that's a $6 win. We'll take it. That's good right off the bat. Absolutely. 6 unit win. That's a great win right off the bat. That's a 0. That's even better. Wow, that's a 42 unit win. So let's go ahead and rebet and spin. Let's get another 0. We'll be happy getting these zeros. Well, come on. I thought you were going to hit it. 5. That's still a win. No, it's just missed. Dang. All right, so we're going to add another arrow. And we're going to increase the target size and spin. All right, that's an 8 black. All right, and that's a $12 loss. That's an all bet loss. So now we're going to increase and we're going to increase the size of the target and spin. That's a 14 red. All right, so we're going to rebet and we're going to we're going to make the arrow bigger and we're going to make the target bigger. Just where do we want to play it? Doesn't matter, just anywhere. So we're going to spin. If you want, you can play the 17 and the 20 just to make it bigger, or you could just increase the more or cover more numbers. That's up to you. All right, and we're going to rebet and we're going to increase the target. Increase the target, and we're going to make the target and make another arrow and spin. We're up 328 units. And that's a 29. That's definitely a loss. All right, so we're going to rebet. And we're going to make the target. All right, we're going to. All right, now we're touching the target, but we have to make the target bigger. So we got to add a unit there. And spin. Should have put it on the 20, but that's okay. 27, that's a loss. All right, so now. All right, we're at our evaluation point. We do not have enough to cover our $74 bet. So we are going to end the video here. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. And thank you. And hey, roulette players, that was an awesome session, and I had a lot of fun doing it. We did walk off with 262 units. Because I didn't want to go under the 200. Like I said to you before, I was not going to let myself go under 200. So the $62, I didn't have enough to cover that $76 bet. So we stopped it there and we walked out of the casino with $262. So that was a great session. And please test this out on your systems. Let me know how you do. Put it in the comments below. If you win with it, the system, if you lose with the system, let me know. I'm really excited about this one. I want to take this one to the casino. This one sounds like a great challenge. And as you noticed, I did tweak it a couple of times in the video. And like I said, you could tweak things anytime you want. But I just thought when I was tweaking it, I was thinking it's better to get the target bigger, so we'll have a little more numbers to cover, even if they are partial losses. But partial losses are better than full losses. So by expanding that out, it actually freaking helped. And that one time when we hit the 200, I think it was 210, I don't remember exactly what it was. I would have to go look back in the video. But we hit the 17, and that was like a big hit. Test this one out. Let me know if you have any problems with it. I'd like to know. And before you go, just please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another roulette spin.